A place for mum, a side income, a future-proof play. Councils can't stop it, zoning can't block it. In 2026, granny flats change forever. No consents, no resource approvals, just 70 square metres of pure potential, if you play it right. Who better to talk to about this than the popular Dave Whitburn, who started his 20 mil plus property portfolio by putting a minor dwelling on the back of his first property. He's next.
Financial freedom faster. Financial freedom faster.
If you like making money rather than watching everyone else do it, hit that subscribe button because the numbers don't lie. More investors are getting the New Zealand housing and real estate intel in 2025 from this show than any other YouTube channel. David, have smart investors started planning?
Some really savvy investors are doing this, but some of them have actually been planning for a long time, like over 10 years, like me, because they have land banks ready for the future. And then you can just release that as time goes on in terms of the ebbs and the flows of the market to ride out any storms and work out, hey, when can I get the right prices for doing it? Because there wasn't a couple of years ago that paying some peak construction prices and a lot of stress in the market, material shortages and things like that. These rules are really interesting, Andrew, and this should make sure the listeners are listening to every single minute of this podcast. The reason is that this is a way that they can make a lot of money, a lot of cash flow, and a lot of equity, but they must do things right because there are a number of fishhooks in this amazing strategy.
And there's been a big shift from, was it 65 meters now to 70 meters?
That would be 65 meters up to 70 meters.
Up, yeah. So it's gone from 65 square meters up to
70 meters, absolutely, because you've got to draw the line somewhere, and that I think is a prudent one. Many councils have different rules on that. Some councils you can do 80, some councils you can do 100, others you can do 50. So the line has been drawn at Auckland Council, the largest territorial authority in the entire country. It's gone from 65 to 70, and it's the same for everybody. 70 square meters is a fantastic way to do it. You can actually fit 3 bedrooms in them. Yeah, it might be a little bit tight, but on a single level, no stairwells in case, it works well. I've built a number of them as low as 60 square meters as well. In the past, I've done hundreds of these, that not for my portfolio, I wish, but for many clients' portfolios after I left commercial law full time. So I know these rules really, really well. This is a great strategy to get some income off the backyard. It's just at some cases that you might be better subdividing, building a duplex, or otherwise demolishing or removing the other house and perhaps building a series of them. So it's only going to be on a case-by-case basis. But these rules are going to apply throughout the country.
And so a notification has to be made through the council.
That's a PIM, or a Project Information Memorandum. And this notification is really important. That doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to be able to do it. Why? Sometimes you're in an epic floodplain. And that means that, as we've seen in the big January 2023 and February 2023 floods after Cyclone Gabrielle, that we'd just be putting a big problem in if we're doing that. So don't think that you're going to get it every single time. You have to be careful of some of these constraints. Don't think that you're going to be building them right on your neighbour's boundary as well, as some people do. So we have to just be mindful that council can bounce that when the Project Information Memorandum's done. Otherwise, there's a section in the Building Act where they can put a notation on your title if you haven't complied with it, and that'll give you insurance problems. And that's not a very smart way to invest because it breaches the fine print of your loan agreements.
Then it makes it hard when it comes to sell if you do that.
100%.
So this is actually only applied to new granny flats. What's the problem if you've already got something in place?
It's just not a new build. Government's trying to encourage new housing stock. You may well want to modify it. You may be able to increase it if it's prudent to pull cladding off, maybe a wall and extend it out. So those things are still contemplated on it, but it is encouraged to be part of it, removing the red and green tape and just making this a more efficient way to build going forwards, cutting out the expense and the time, the delays and uncertainty when you're applying for a building consent. So I think this is a fantastic move. It's a step in the right direction, and it's going to encourage professionalism in the construction industry. These have to be done through licensed building practitioners, or obviously the plumbers, gas fitters, drain layers, electrical workers as well. They have a different licensing system, but all the same thing applies. They're all restricted building works. A lot of it's going to be transferred into their insurers as well.
A reminder, this is the fastest growing investment channel in New Zealand, and it's not by accident. It's because the people who hit subscribe here, they don't wait, they win. You want to keep thinking about it? That's fine. Just don't cry when someone else closes the deal you missed. let's look at the costs.
Sure.
What are we looking at expecting to spend on the granny flat, and what sort of contribution costs are we looking at as well?
These come across in all sorts of different ways, because some people do them with really dense construction materials like brick, block, and they are built to last decades, if not centuries, and then they'll be having smaller footprints with a kitchen and a bathroom in. It's unfortunately it's the big bedrooms or the big living rooms that are pretty cost efficient, particularly garages to do. So those ones would be $5,000 a square meter for them if you do those construction types. However, if you do cheap and inferior construction types and do the bare minimum to meet building code, you'll be able to drive that price well down towards $3,000 a square meter, despite the small footprints for this, including some of your ancillary works and connections allocated to doing that. So some big extremes there. You're going to be saving on your holding costs from the time in the period. You're going to be saving a bit in the council consenting fees on the process as well. However, you are not going to save a development contribution or an Auckland or water care infrastructure growth charge, and in many parts of the country it's just simply called a financial contribution, because every project must be notified. That's that PIM we just talked about. So you will still have to budget doing that. So council will still take their pound of flesh, because you'll have a hardwired cooking facility and a plumbing facility for doing it. So don't think that you can get away with just being cheeky and putting a farmer's shed up there. That's not going to cut the mustard. It'll give you insurance issues and therefore loan issues, breaching the covenants in your mortgage for doing that. You have to be a bit smarter and make sure that you're actually complying with the rules. And sometimes you just got to suck it up and pay the councils. They often have a reduced rate for the small dwelling area that you've got.
And would you say you'd just be talking to a local builder, or you'd be talking to a reputable national building company? Like, you want to start investigating granny flat options for next year.
Sure,
Where do you
both,
start?
absolutely. They're both fantastic options, and got some really good quality staff for doing this as well. I think that's a really, really good way to start. A number of viewers are already in the trade industry too, and these hardworking patriots know what to do to add a bit of value and get their financial performance up as well. If you've got some big land, this is something to be aware of. This should be passed before the end of the year, and it's exciting. It comes on board with some of the tightening of the LBP regime. The new class of waterproofer will be added into this as well. Got the very hard-working Minister for Construction, Chris Pink, that's been working his backside off, particularly with other hard-working MPs like Paulo Garcia, MP for Newland. They're just putting in huge hours to try to clean up the mess and get rid of the red tape so councils can focus. And as we start to develop and work towards having one set of planning rules and reducing the sheerly daft number of zones that we've got, I think we'll actually be able to streamline things and get a lot more certainty for this and create some valuable supply going forwards.
And the government's predicting 13,000 new granny flats over the next decade.
Yep.
Is that going to make a big difference or not?
That's about 1,300 a year. I think that projection at the start is a little optimistic, but I think it'll ramp up towards the end of that 10-year period to be even higher than that. It will make a difference, but I guess it's figures like that, we're still talking just under 10% of the actual number of dwellings that are built per calendar year. So it's not there for everybody, but for some people, they've got massive land and can simply do a lot more on it. For others, they won't be able to do anything at all. The sections are a little bit too small. But I think every step is a good step and a good step for change, and we need to provide more choice, more accommodation options. And for many, it will be as simple as somewhere to put the teenagers, don't like the music or their habits too much there, so it's a great way to do it. And indeed, the use there, put parents or put family on it. I don't think that these will just be for investment by any stretch. I think a number of extended family situations, this would be very helpful for too.
Yeah, and if you're looking at making an assessment on whether it makes sense for cabins, relocatables, granny flat, or even something a bit bigger, how do you start making those assessments and the decision making?
Got to do some cost work there. How much is it going to cost? What's the process for this? What's my budget? Talk to your financial advisor, get your financial or loan pre-approvals in place, know what you can afford, and then just work on some of these site constraints. I'd like to think that the professionalism's there so they can tell you that you've got a floodplain and overland flow path on your site, so you're not going to be able to build anything on it. You just don't have the room through shape factors to get this done, because it's no good being 200 mil off your neighbour's boundary. So I think that it's really useful to just get on the phone towards doing them. On sites that are a bit more contentious, you may well need to get a topographical survey done to assess what these are as well. But the idea is to not have to engage a planning consultant to do it. The idea is to keep it a little bit simpler. So I'm expecting to see the surveyors and civil engineers be able to mop up any minor issues, and the build companies should be able to drive these forward with the LPP carpenters right to the fore with this.
And if you're looking at setting up a minor dwelling on the back of your family property or a rental property, what are the things you should be considering as a landlord?
As a landlord, I'm thinking, how am I going to make sure the tenants get on if they're not going to be extended whānau situations? Am I going to put up a dividing fence? Am I going to have a driveway for doing that? If I don't have an off-street car park, my tenant's going to park a kilometre away, as they are in some parts of Auckland. In other parts of the country, that's not such a consideration at all. What's it going to cost? Where are the drains going to go? Do I have gravity fall for it? Because some sites are pretty steep, and if the drains are up here and your only site's down there, is council actually going to let me pump the wastewater to it? Because in some cases the answer is no, and that's why the PIM is such a crucial step to avoid any of these constraints. And of course, we've talked as well. We had a video that had, I don't know what it was, over 60,000 hits with the water care restrictions in Auckland, and this is particularly bad in East Auckland, but also the North Shore and a couple of pockets in West Auckland too. So we've got to be a little bit mindful of some of these constraints, and we need to assess these early on just so we don't waste time and a little bit of money.
Yeah, so if you're looking at buying new property or selling some property, you really got to consider this future potential with granny flats changes looking to come through in 2026. So
Absolutely, it can be a really exciting strategy, one that can increase your cash flow and increase your equity, which is such a good thing to do as a property investor. Something there that you may well have property already that you just haven't really given that too much thought to. Now's the time to actually start thinking about it, and as the rules will actually be finalised and come into play by the end of the year, this will be a really neat opportunity to do it, particularly while it's a little bit quieter in the construction market and the prices haven't got away like they did in 2021 to 2023.
yeah, well, I appreciate your insights on granny flats today, Dave. A reminder, smart investors don't need pep talks, they act fast. That's why they're here, and that's why this channel is blowing past the competition. You're still sitting around waiting for the perfect time? Cool. Just don't whine when someone else buys it first.